Hi, everybody. Michael DDA here. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Last week, we talked about the brazen altar and the court of the tabernacle, all the things that are outside the tabernacle. Today, we're going to talk about priestly garments, the garments for Aaron and the garments for his sons. So let's go ahead and get started. I think you're going to find this interesting. We're going to talk also about Israel's seed. The first verse talks about Israel's seed. You know, it gets translated as the children of Israel. Beni Israel. Really, it's Beni Israel. We're going to have a long discussion about this, and I think you're going to find it interesting. I hope that it will break down some of the false images that are in our minds. We have many false images, especially as it relates to Israel's seed, is what I call it. They call it children of Israel. Sometimes it's called, and it's going to be called today, sons of Israel. But we're talking about Israel's seed, multi-generations of spiritually born men. Understand that we're talking about men. If you want to try to include women in this, you're going to pervert the scriptures and you're going to mislead yourself. False images in our minds will lead us in a way that we don't want to go. Well, we're going to have a lengthy discussion today about Beni Israel. I still say Beni Israel. I've been trained because everybody says Beni Israel. Sons of Israel, children of Israel. I say Israel's seed, multi-generations of spiritually born men. Let's go ahead and start today. Now, this is Yehovah talking to Moses. Now take Aaron, thy brother. Remember, Aaron is his older brother, probably by 5 years, 6 years perhaps. His elder. Take thy brother Aaron and his sons with him from among Israel's seed. They're all coming from Israel's seed, that he may minister to me as a priest. Aaron and Aaron's sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron, thy brother, for glory and for beauty. Thou shalt speak to all who are gifted artisans. I think it's interesting. He's going to point out who these gifted artisans are later on in this verse or in this chapter, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. There they are, gifted artisans that he has chosen, that have the spirit of wisdom, and that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister to me as priests. Is it the garments that consecrates Aaron, or is it something else? I think that the garments are part of the process. Here I put one might think from this verse that the clothes that consecrate Aaron, but it's just part of the consecration process. Look what it says in the end of this chapter. We're going to get to it before we're done. So thou shalt put them on Aaron thy brother, and on his sons with him. Thou shalt anoint him, consecrate them. Is it the anointing? I think that is the actual consecration, and sanctify them that they may minister to me as priests. Here's another verse, 29. Next week we'll see this. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring to the door of the tabernacle of meetings, and thou shalt wash them with water. Then thou shalt take the garments, put the tunic on Aaron, the robe, the ephod, a robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and gird him with intrinsically woven bands of the ephod. You shall put the turban on his head and put the crown on the turban, and you shall, there it is, take the anointing oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. I think it's the anointing process that is actually going to be the thing that is the consecration. No, keep in mind, it's the clothes. They're going to put blood on his ears. They're going to do some different things. It's all part of the process. But it's not just the clothes. So verse 4 says, and these are the garments which they shall make, they, the gifted artisans, shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a skillfully woven tunic, a turban and a sash. So you shall make holy garments for Aaron's brother and his sons, for your brother, for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that they may minister to me as priest. Here is a photo that I found that has helped me immensely to try and understand what this is. Let me see if I can make this, move it over just a little bit so we can still see. There. So we're talking about the breastplate is this with the stones in it. The ephod is what it's mounted on. I take it back. I think the ephod actually is this colorful garment. The stones, the breastplate are all, the stones in the breastplate are all put together. Yeah, so we're talking about the ephod is the colorful thing that's over the robe. This is the robe, the blue, and the tunic is the white, and the tunic goes down even further down than the robe. And then we have a sash. We have some buckles. This is a blue thread. This is a gold twisted rope chain from these onyx stones that we're going to talk about that goes down to the ephod. The blue is the rope that's tied to the belt and holds the breastplate in place so it doesn't move around. Then we've got the mitre, the head, the turban, and the crown that is going to fit over the turban. All these are the things that we're going to be talking about today. I guess we're on verse 5. They shall take the gold, purple, blue, and scarlet thread, and the fine linen. So again, we're talking about an embroidered piece of linen. This is what they're going to make the ephod off of. But notice, this has gold. And I think it's interesting that it has gold. This is the first time that gold is being used with the blue, purple, and scarlet thread. Why is gold being added to the high priest? Remember, the lampstand is gold. The table of showbread is gold. We haven't got to the incense altar yet, but it's also gold. All the things that are before Yehovah are gold. So I think it makes sense that they're going to use gold with Aaron's garments. I put he is consecrated to Yehovah, just like all the other things in the tabernacle. Yes, I think so. And they shall make an ephod of gold. So they're taking the thread. They're going to make an ephod of gold, blue, scarlet, purple, and scarlet thread, and fine linen. So it's all on the fine linen. Artistically worked. Worked cunningly, with a plan. Young's literal translation says, the work of a designer. The ephod is made of embroidered fine linen. That's what we're talking about. A robe that is made of fine linen that is embroidered. And it shall have 2 shoulder straps joined at its 2 edges, and it shall be joined together. I have questions about this. Let me go back to my picture here. Here it is. Is this front and the back 2 separate pieces? I'm unclear. I think they may be 2 separate pieces and they're joined together, and that's what they're talking about right here. With 2 shoulder straps joined, how do they say it? Joined as at its 2 edges. It shall be joined together. I think that's what we're talking about. It's the ephod is 2 different pieces joined together. It goes on. And the intricately woven band of the ephod. This is the belt that we're talking about, which is on it. Shall be the same workmanship, made with gold, blue, purple, scarlet. Here it is right here. We're talking about this belt right here. It goes around his waist, holds everything together. When the ephod is held together, the breastplate is going to be held together properly, close to his chest. They don't want it flopping around. It's going to be held close to his chest by the blue cords and the gold chain that is going to attach it to the ephod. 8. And the intrinsically woven band. Okay, I said that's the belt, the girdle, the sash. 9. Then you shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the name of, look what it says, Israel's seed. They translate it as the sons of Israel. The very same words that they translated as the children of Israel here. Folks, you've got to ask yourselves questions. Why does it say children of Israel at the top and sons of Israel at the bottom? We've learned lies. We've accepted narratives that are not true. Remember, in Exodus 12, we talked about 4 different kinds of men. The Beni, the Toshab, the Ger, and the Ezra. The Ger is the one who has left the kingdom of his birth. He was a Gentile, left the kingdom of his birth, joined himself to Israel, and became a Ger. Many will have you believe that a Ger is simply a Gentile, which I hate the name Gentile. It's so confusing. The Beni. The Beni is what most people would think is a Gentile. They don't know anything about Yehovah. They don't know his name. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's most Christians. They are Beni. They don't even know Yehovah's name, much more that they need to swear by Yehovah's name. So here we have sons of Israel. Why the sons of Israel? See, these are things we've got to ask ourselves. We've got to dig deeper into the scriptures to understand who Beni Israel actually is. Again, this is the same words, Beni Israel, that we're talking about here when it says sons of Israel, but up on top, children of Israel. I think they're both wrong. We just can't see it. Let me point out, and this is an old note that I wrote before I came to some of these ideas. I'm always changing. I'm always deepening my understandings. Here's my old note. It says, this is the same phrase that gets translated as the children of Israel in most Bibles. Beni Israel. But notice, Dinah did not make the list. We're not talking about Jacob's seed. This says Beni Israel. Beni Israel and Jacob's seed are two different peoples. We got Beni Heth. These are all the multi-generational sons of Heth. Not daughters, sons. When we talk about Beni Adam, we're talking about all men. When we talk about Beni Noah, we're talking about all the men after the flood. If we talk about Beni Esau, see, it can be used many. We're talking about Esau's seed, all the multi-generations of men that come from Esau. But when we talk about sons of Israel, we're talking about a whole different line of thinking. Let me point this out. On the right, I'm using Exodus 4, 22 and 23. Here's what it says. Then thou shalt say to Pharaoh, thus says Jehovah, my son, Beni. My son, says Beni. That's what it says. When Beni is followed by a proper name immediately, then we're talking about the seed that come from that man. Did somebody want to say something?
Sorry.
Okay. Thus says Jehovah, my son, my Bekor, male. A Bekor is not a Bekor. It's a man, a son. My son is a man, not a woman. It says, my son, my Bekor is Israel. Now, why is Israel called a Bekor? See, these are all things that we have to ask ourselves because we don't know who Israel actually is. He says, so I say to you, let my son, not my daughters. The sons have women with them, bone of their bone, flesh of their flesh. They have daughters, they have sons, they have servants. They're all going to go with the son. But if thou refuse to let him go, indeed I will kill thy son, that says thy son with the cough after it, thy firstborn, with the cough after it is saying thy firstborn, thy Bekor. Now Israel did not go from Egypt until they became his son. How did they become his son, his firstborn? They had to be born again. It happens at Passover. We're going to get there slowly but surely. Bear with me as we go through some of these things. Now, pictures I found for this. It says, then you shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the name of Israel's seed. Look what the onyx stones that I found actually have on them. Here they are. Reuben, Simeon, I'm reading here. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Naphtali, Dan, Gad, Asher, Joseph, and Benjamin. Are these the people that we're supposed to have on this thing? These are Jacob's sons, but are these Israel's seed? See, we do these things and we don't really think about it. What happened to Manasseh and Ephraim? Are they not Jehovah's sons? Israel's seed? Look at this. Whoops. it is. I said, where are Ephraim and Manasseh? When we camp in the wilderness, look at who camps. We've got Ephraim and Manasseh as part of the 12 tribes. Then we've got the Levites, which would include Aaron and his sons, part of the Kohathites, from Merari, Gershon, and Kohath. The Merarites, the Gershonites, and the Kohathites. So which 12 are we supposed to put on these onyx stones? They put, in our example, here's another one, they put Jacob's sons. Now, take this into consideration. This is what this is what Jacob said. Then thou shalt say to Pharaoh, thus says Jehovah. Oh no, I went up. Let me go back down. We're down here. And now, your sons, this is thy sons, he's talking to Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to thee in the land of Egypt before I came to thee in Egypt, are mine. Look what it says. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. They have an equal status with all of Israel's seed. They're one of the 12 tribes. You could argue there's 13 tribes. But Yehovah is going to make it very clear that we're going to put 6 names on one stone and 6 names on the other stone. The question is, which 6 are we going to put in? Are we going to leave Ephraim and Manasseh out? Or are we going to leave Levi off? Of course, if we leave, we're going to leave Joseph and Levi off if we're going to have 12 names on it. Because Ephraim and Manasseh, remember, took the place of Joseph's double portion. So what are the names that we are supposed to have on there? I think I would argue that Ephraim and Manasseh should be on there and that Joseph and Levi should not. They have a different, yes, they are Israel's seed. We just saw it. We're taking Aaron and thy brother Aaron and his sons from among Israel's seed. So they're Israel's seed. But are they supposed to be on the stones? That's the question. See, there's things that we have to dig deeper on to get a more fuller understanding. Now, let me ask you a question. Does the fact that the translators are translating Beni, Israel, as the sons of Israel here, lead people to believe that when they translate Bnei Israel in the other places as the children of Israel, that it makes people believe that Bnei Israel includes women? See, I think that's part of the reason why they changed it to children of Israel, because they want to say they. You know, who owns the publishing companies? Really? It's not the righteous men of the earth. It's the heathen Satanists that own the publishing companies. And they're the ones that are hiding Yehovah's name from us even seeing it. We see the Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, and don't even realize that it is Yehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, however you want to say it, I don't care. It's not the Lord. All that does is confuses everybody, because then they start calling Jesus the Lord. Oh my God, Father, forgive us. That damn golden calf has caused us more heartache and sent more people to the grave without being born again than any other name in the world. It's a narrative that came from the Catholic Church to destroy you. We've got to learn more. People are so confused. And some, I dare say, are willfully ignorant. I'm talking about pastors. You know, pastors can't teach you the truth. If they find something that they need to talk about that is different, what their doctrines are of their denomination, they ain't going to tell you about it. They're going to stay with the narrative of their denomination. So I say they're willfully ignorant, or worse, which might be the same thing, dumb on purpose. They don't want to know. They put their hands in their ears. No. I like my doctrines and traditions of men. They work well for me. I can do whatever I want. Well, this is Exodus 12. Remember when we talk about Israel? We talk about Israel and the Ger who dwells with them. Okay? There are no Gentiles dwelling with Israel. Only men who have left the kingdom of their birth and now serve only the Elohim of heaven. That's a Ger. They've committed themselves to learning all of Yahweh's ways. And when Passover comes, they have a duty, yea, even an obligation, to be circumcised and partake in the Passover and become an Ezra, or be kicked out of Israel. And Numbers 9 says, and let their sin remain on them. Could Passover, coming into covenant with Yehovah, or renewing our covenant with Yehovah each year, be where forgiveness of sins actually comes from? I think so. Well, look what it says in Exodus 12. And when a stranger, this is the Ger, not a Gentile, this is a man who has left the kingdom of his birth, his Elohim, and now serves the Elohim of Israel, his statutes, his judgments, and his ordinances. Elohim, lawmaker and judge. Israel's Elohim is who he serves. Dwells with thee. Who's thee? Israel's seed. We're going to see Israel's seed is the Ezra of the land. Probably you haven't heard that word before. Most haven't. But they think they understand Ger. They don't know it either. If the stranger, the Ger, dwells with thee to keep the Passover to Yehovah, let all his males, we're talking about men, we're not talking about ladies. Remember, 3 times a year, all your males shall appear before Yehovah to keep the Passover. There's no ladies there. Can't have a lady there. They're unclean. One person. This is why you don't go to war with a woman. If she's in her menses, she makes the whole camp unclean, and Yehovah will fight for us. It's the same thing with Passover. Let all his males be circumcised. Then let him come near and keep it and exist. Behold, I would say, and become. It's haya is the word they're using here. And haya, and behold. He is as a native. Look what it says. An Ezra of the land. He is the land's Ezra. This is what Israel's seed is. The land's Ezra. Remember, to thy seed I will give this land to thy seed. I will give this land. He says it to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. This is who we're talking about. His seed. The Ezra of the lands. Ezra is really what it says. The lands, Ezra. Ha, Ezra. No, ha, Aretz. Ha, Aretz. Ezra. As the lands, Ezra. For no uncircumcised person shall eat it. Being circumcised is our part of the shedding of the blood in the covenant that we're making with Jehovah. Women are not men. Repeat after me. Women are not men. Women are not men. They have different duties and responsibilities other than men have. We must all learn the duties and responsibilities of a man and the duties and responsibility for a woman in Jehovah's kingdom. And I could even say for the man's woman in Jehovah's kingdom, because every woman has a covering, a man over her. I'm going to say it, of a man's woman in Jehovah's kingdom. Oh, I know you don't want to hear it. We think that men and women are alike. This is what we've been taught all our life. Nah, not all our life. All our life, yeah. You go back 100 years, that was not the case. But we have worked for 100 years to make women equal to men. And it's to our own destruction and the destruction of our families. Don't go there. I want to show you something. I know this is a bit of a hiatus, and I may end up making it long. And I apologize that, but you got to understand. Here is the verses that I found. I'm sure there's others, but these are ones that I found that helps us understand that when we talk about Beni Israel, and the Ger who dwell with them are the Ezra. I want you to write down these verses. Here's the first one, Exodus 12:19. It says, for 7 days, no leaven shall be found in the houses, since whoever eats what is leavened, that same person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel. You're going to get kicked out of Israel. There's no everlasting life if you get kicked out of Israel. You got to stay there. Whether he is a Ger, did you hear that? The Ger is part of Israel, but he's not Israel. Whether he's the Ger or, look what it says, the lands Ezra. The lands Ezra. So now instead of saying Israel and the Ger who dwells with them, it's saying the Ger and the lands Ezra. They're both going to get kicked out if they eat unleavened bread. Then we have the verse that I just read to you, Exodus 12:48 and 49. I'm not going to read that again. That's where the Ger actually becomes the Ezra. Here is Leviticus 16. This shall be a statute forever for you. How long? Forever. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month. We're talking about Day of Atonement, Shavuot. This shall be a statute forever. On the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls. Afflict your souls. I go into a long discussion on what that actually means. You shall afflict your souls and do no work. Look what it says. At all. The Ezra or the Ger who dwells among you. Is there any doubt in your mind that we're talking about Israel and the Ger who dwells with them? See, Israel is the Ezra. Those are the men who actually went up to the mountain, not the ger, not the servants, not the ladies, not the children. It was the Ezra men that went up to the mountain and heard Yehovah speak to them the commandments, the 10 commandments. His 10 commandments, let's say it that way. Here's another one. This is Leviticus 17. And all through Leviticus 17, it talks about the Israel and the ger who dwells with them. Israel and the ger who dwells with them. They just say it different ways because they're taking you on a journey. And finally, towards the end, it says this. And every person, this is nephesh, every nephesh, all the nephesh that eat that which dies of itself, or that which is torn by beasts. Hear this. As a native of your land, this is the Ezra Aretz, the Aretz of the land's Aretz, the land's Ezra. As a native of your country, I think it doesn't even say the land here. They just add all this. As a native of your own country, it all says as Ezra. So you could read it, or that which is torn by the east. Ezra or ger. He shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until evening. Then he shall be clean. My point, the Ezra is Israel. There's the Ezra and the ger who dwell with them once a year. A ger can only be a ger for 1 year. After a year, if he doesn't keep the Passover, he gets kicked out of Israel. Here, I'll show you. I've got it in my list here. Coming up. Who dwells in tents? That's a coat. Ye shall be seated in protective coverings. 7 days. All the Ezra. Hear that? All the Ezra are going to be dwelling in protective tents. All that are Israelites. They shall be seated in protective coverings, that your generations may know that I made Israel's seed. Beni Israel is ha'aretz. That I made Israel's seed dwell in booths. When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am Yehovah, thy Elohim. Here is Numbers, I think, next. Yeah, Numbers 9. Here it is. Look what it says. But the man, ha'ish, there are no lady ishes. But the man who is clean and not on a journey and ceases to keep the Passover, what? He's not going to keep the Passover anymore. You were telling me about that man this morning. He obviously hasn't seen this verse. That same person shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of Yehovah at the appointed time. Look what it says. That man shall bear his sin. Is it possible then that the man who does keep it does not bear his sin? And if he doesn't bear his sin, neither does the bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh, his woman or women, if he has multiple wives. Oh, yes, I did say multiple wives. And if a stranger, here's the stranger, dwells among you and would keep Jehovah's Passover, he must do it according to the rite of the Passover and according to its ceremony. Where is that? Exodus 12. You shall have one ordinance. Look what it says. One ordinance for both the stranger and the land's Ezra. Can it be any clearer? But see, you don't see this because of how they translate the word Ezra in the scriptures. Here's more. This is Numbers 15. You shall have one law for him who does anything in ignorance. For him who is the Ezra, among Israel's seed. And for the stranger, the ger, who dwells among them. There it is, the Ezra of the land and the stranger who dwells among him. Both the person who acts in open betrayal, whether he is the Ezra or the ger, that one brings reproach on Yehovah, brings Yehovah reproach, and he shall be cut off from among his people. Well, here's one more, two more. These are right. All who are native born shall do these things in this manner, in presenting an offering by fire, a sweet aroma to Yehovah. Oh, the Ezra. Not the ger. This is the Ezra that do this. I have seen the wicked and great power, and spreading himself as a new Ezra. They act like an Ezra, but they're not an Ezra. They're wicked. They haven't learned the ways of Yehovah. They haven't kept the Passover. They act like they have. They act like they're Yehovah's people. But they haven't kept the Passover. You see, you got to dig deeper if you want to understand who Israel's seed is. Well, let me go back to our study. I know that was a long hiatus, but I think it's well worth it. Here's where we left off. This one right here. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of Israel's seed. Again, who is that? Is Ephraim and Manasseh supposed to be on the stones? I think so. Is Levi supposed to be there? How about Joseph? I don't think so. I think they're treated differently. I would almost expect that there would be 11 names on the stone. No, 13 names on the stone. 6 on one side, 7 on the other. So they could include Levi. By having Ephraim and Manasseh, they're including Joseph. He's just split. Well, you know, these are things that we're going to find out in the future. We see a little bit, but we don't see clearly. These are more questions to ask ourselves, what's going on? 6 of their names on one stone and 6 of their names on the other stone in order of their birth. And that's exactly what they did with the 2 stones that we saw. But they had, I think, the wrong names. You decide. Are they Israel's seed or are they Jacob's seed? I think they're Jacob's seed. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engraving of a signet, you shall engrave the 2 stones with the names of Beni Israel. Beni Israel. You shall set them in settings of gold. We saw that they were set in settings of gold. I think it was all pretty good. They had 4 loops on each corner of the stone. I think maybe it's 1 loop at the top and 1 loop at the bottom would make more sense as it fits. But none the case. I think we're going in the right direction. Settings of gold. Here we are, verse 12. And thou shalt put the 2 stones on the shoulders of the ephod. So we have the ephod tied together. We're going to have stones on the shoulders as a memorial for Israel's seed. Again, Ephraim and Manasseh, I think they should be there. So Aaron shall bear their names before Yehovah on his 2 shoulders as a memorial. You shall also make settings of gold, and thou shalt make 2 chains. You shall also make settings of gold. I guess this is the settings for the 2 stones. That's all I can figure. And you shall make 2 chains of pure gold, like braided cords, and fasten the braided chains to the settings. So this is the settings that we just made. Now we're going to fasten the chains to the settings. This is the chains that are going to go. They're going to be on the ephod. Here, the breastplate, rather. we just finished the ephod. Now we got the breastplate, verse 15. And I think, do I have a different picture here? Is this the same picture? Yeah, here's a breastplate. There's the chains of gold right here that are holding the breastplate on. And then we have a blue cord down at the bottom that's going to tie it to the ephod. Now, this looks like it's going over the robe instead of the ephod, which is not the way it's supposed to be, but they're just trying to give us an idea of what the stones look like. They have the names carved into them. How do you do it into a diamond? I don't know how they would begin to engrave these precious stones. Obviously, some are softer than others. Diamond seems like it would be a pretty hard one to do. At any rate, you shall make the breastplate of judgment, artistically woven. I think we're talking about embroidered, like the ephod, according to the workmanship of the ephod. Thou shalt make it with gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine woven. I think I'm going to say on fine woven linen. Thou shalt make it. It shall be doubled into a square, a span. It shall be doubled into a square. A span shall be its length, and a span shall be its width. A span is basically from your thumb to the tip of your pinky. That's a span. Mine is 9.5. 9.5. 9 inches. Half a cubit, yeah, 9 inches. Mine is 9 inches. So 9 inches from my pinky to my thumb, and 9 inches, a cubit is 18. So that'd be half a cubit. But it's going to be square. Both ways. It shall be doubled into a square. You shall put settings of stones in it for rows of stones. The first row shall be sardius, topaz, and emerald. This shall be the first row. The second row shall be turquoise, sapphire, and diamond. The third row, jacinth, and agate, and amethyst. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, a jasper. Thus you shall set in gold. They shall be set in gold settings. So they're all going to be in gold. And I think they were all, when we were looking at them just now, they were in gold settings. Oh, here, I got it right here. I guess they have gold settings. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. They shall be gold settings. 21. And the stone shall have the names of Israel's seed. Again, which names are we going to have? 12 according to their names, like the engravings of the signet, each one with its own name. They shall be according to the 12 tribes. 12 tribes. Who owns the land? The Levites don't get any land. I would think it would still be called the tribe of Levi, but Ephraim and Manasseh, certainly they have their own lands, and they are one of the 12 tribes. Again, is it 13 or is it 12? You decide. 12 tribes. Verse, still talking about the stones, or now we're talking about the breastplate still. You shall make chains for the breastplate at the end, like braided cords of pure gold. Again, there's the cords that we're going to attach it with. And you shall make 2 rings of gold for the breastplate, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. Then you shall, this is for the gold ones. Then it says, then thou shalt put the 2 braided chains of the gold on the 2 rings, which are at the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends, this is the bottom 2 ends, of the 2 braided chains, you shall fasten the 2 settings upon, we're still on the top ones. I'm sorry. Put them on the shoulder straps of the ephod in the front. You shall make 2 rings and put them on the 2 edges of the breastplate, on the edge of it, which is then the inner side of the ephod. And 2 other rings of gold you shall make and put them on the 2 shoulder straps underneath the ephod towards the front. This is a little confusing for me. Right at the seam above the intricately woven bands of the ephod. So we have a seam. Remember, it was doubled over material. So the material seems to have a hiding place in it. I think that's where the Urim and the Tumim are going to be hidden. We'll talk about that next. Above the intricately woven bands of the ephod. They shall bind the breastplate by means of the rings to the rings of the ephod, using a blue cord. So now we're talking about the lower rings that are on the ephod that is going to be bound to the breastplate that's going to be bound to the ephod, so that it is above the intricately woven band of the ephod, and so that the breastplate does not come loose from the ephod. So is it tied to the ephod itself? Is it tied to the belt of the ephod? It says the band of the ephod. We're talking about that's the belt of the ephod, the band of the ephod. So Aaron shall bear the names of, again, Israel's seed. You know, I like Israel's seed. Could I call it my son Israel? Could he say, thus says Jehovah, speak to my son Israel? So you could say that, but when Beni is followed by a proper noun, it's treated differently. Wouldn't work with my son Heth, B'nai Heth. Talked about Abraham buying the land, Pila, from Heth's seed. When it couldn't say my son Heth, it doesn't work, does it? So it's treated differently. That's why when Yehovah says, my son, my firstborn, is Israel. See, it's treated differently when it doesn't have a proper noun in front of it, or following it, I guess I should say. So, Israel's seed is the way I choose to make this put forth to you so that you can understand it more deeply. Multiple generations of spiritually born men. That's our goal. We teach we teach our sons and our sons' sons the way of Yehovah. Spiritually born men. We circumcise our sons on the 8th day. Then they don't have to be circumcised at Passover. But the ger, who wasn't circumcised at Passover, has to get circumcised, he and his sons, before he can keep the Passover. It all fits together very nicely if you just open your eyes to the truth. So Aaron shall bear the names of Israel's seed on the breastplate of the judgment over his heart when he goes into the holy place as a memorial before Yehovah continually. He's got their name on his shoulders. He's got their name on his breastplate. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Tumim, and they shall be over Aaron's heart when he goes in before Yehovah. So Aaron shall bear the judgment of Israel's seed in his heart before Yehovah continually. Here's the Urim and the Tumim. Give you an idea what they look like. They should be equally matched in size. So when he reaches in, he sees the stones, or he can feel the stones, but he doesn't know the colors. Kind of like flipping a coin, if you will. Only this is choosing the seed, or choosing the ones, or choosing the. It's a way of doing a lot, so that we get Yehovah's will. That's the whole point of the Urim and the Tumim. And they shall be over Aaron's heart when he goes in before Yehovah. So Aaron shall bear the judgment of Israel's seed over his heart before Jehovah continually. You shall make the robe of the ephod all of blue. We saw the blue. Here's the ephod again. Let's go back to that. It's easy to pull up now. Here it is. We're talking about the robe, the blue robe that's underneath the ephod. And then we're going to talk about the tunic. This is the tunic. Tunic is a little bit longer than the ephod. We're talking about the robe of the robe right now, the blue robe. Going back. Thou shalt make a robe of the ephod, all of blue, and there shall be an opening for the head in the middle of it. See, this one says that it's going to have an opening for the head. The ephod didn't seem to have an opening. It seemed like it was the two pieces sewn together. That's why I say I think it's two pieces. There shall be an opening for his head in the middle of it. Remember, it's just for Aaron. This is not for the sons, just for Aaron. And it shall have a woven binding all around its opening, like the opening of a coat of mail, so that it does not tear. And upon the hem you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, all around its hem, and blue bells of gold between them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the I was going around. Here, let me just read this first. Here's the pomegranates right here. Pomegranate, gold, or bell, pomegranate, bell. We're going back and forth. Okay. Where was I reading that? Upon the hem of the robe all around. And it shall be upon Aaron when he ministers, and its sounds will be heard when he goes into the holy place before Jehovah. This is not the holy of holies. This is just the holy place before Jehovah. And when he comes out, that he may not die. They want to hear him. Make sure he's still alive. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet, holiness to Jehovah. The picture that I have says holiness unto Jehovah. Same diff. Holiness to Jehovah. And you shall put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban. So the signet plate, the crown, is going to be tied by a blue cord that's going to go around the priest's head, the high priest's head, on the turban. It shall be, they call it the mitre. It shall be on the front of the turban. So it shall be on Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which Israel's seed hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall always be on his forehead, that they may be accepted before Jehovah. I'm almost done here, folks. You shall skillfully weave the tunic of fine linen. This is going to be all white linen. This is the one that goes underneath the blue robe of the ephod. You shall make the turban of fine linen, and thou shalt make a sash of woven work. So it also has a sash on it as well. For Aaron's sons, you shall make tunics. So they're only going to have tunics. And you shall make sashes for them. And you shall make hats for them for glory and for beauty. So they're going to have some kind of a turban themselves as well. Hats, they just say hats. So you shall make. Oh, here, I guess I went a little bit too far. So you shall put them on Aaron your brother and on his sons with him. Thou shalt anoint them consecrate them and sanctify them. So consecrating is just part of it. Anointing is part of it. Sanctifying them is part of it. That they may be ministered, that they may minister to me as priests. And thou shalt make for them linen trousers. So we got undergarments as well. Linen trousers to cover their nakedness, that they shall reach from waist to thighs. So from their waist to their mid-thighs, it sounds like. Undergarments, shorts, breeches, they translate this in many different ways. The items of the temple were given from the inside out. Yeah, that's true. Remember, when we were looking at building the temple, we started with the Ark of the Covenant. Then the cover that went over it. Then the outer covering. So we're going from inside to outside. But here, when we talk about the priest things, we're talking about the outside to the inside. We talked about the ephod, the blue robe, the white linen that goes underneath it. What was it called? This thing here, the tunic. Going outside to inside. Now we're going to the underwear, even further inside. So we're going a different direction. I think it's interesting. I put the ark, the table, the showbread, the lampstand, curtains, boards, bronze altar, lay out the court. Now the instructions for the high priest garments were given pretty much from the outside in. Why? Yeah, why? I don't know. You shall make them, I guess I read that, 43. Almost done here. Last verse, I guess. They shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they come into the tent of Moed, the tent of meetings. They say the tabernacle. This does not say tabernacle. This clearly says tent, the tent of Moab. Also, it's going to talk about his seed. This is Zerah. We'll read this other note here when we're finished with this verse. They shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they come into the tent of meetings, or when they come near the altar to minister in the holy place, that they do not incur iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever to him and his seed, his descendants. Understand descendants as his seed. Actually, that's actually what it says. Seed, as the Zerah. The Zerah is seed. To his seed after him. Now, I have a note, and I just want to read this in closing. This is out of Isaiah 66:20. It says, and they, I think this is the Benakar, the Toshav, will bring all your brethren, all of the Azarah. He's speaking to Isaiah and Azarah man, and he's talking about bringing his brethren. These are other Ezra men for an offering to Yehovah out of the nations. They'll bring them on horses and in chariots and in litters, on mules and on camels, to my holy mountain, Jerusalem, says Yehovah. As Israel's seed brings an offering in a clean vessel unto the house of Yehovah. So as Israel brings an offering in a clean vessel to Yehovah, they are bringing Israel to Yehovah. And I will take some of them, who's them? Israel's seed, for priests and Levites. Ooh, I think this fits really well when we're talking about who Israel's seed is. He's going to take some of the men, the Ezra men, Israel's seed, for priests and Levites. Does that mean that they're maybe not Israel's seed anymore? They're another status? I think it might. This is why I think that Ephraim and Manasseh should be there, and Levi and Joseph should not. And I will also take some of them for priests and Levites, says Jehovah. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Jehovah, so shall your seed and your name remain. We're talking about Israel's seed. When Jehovah is going to come back, Jesus is not coming back. Get that false image out of your brain. It's been given you by the Catholic Church to turn you away from Jehovah and his ways. Jehovah is the one who's going to return. And he's going to say, gather together my seed, my Kassid, my kind, those who cut covenant with me by slaughter. The Ezra men are the people that he's talking about. Isaiah 26 says something like, the dead shall arise together with thy dead body. They shall arise and sing. I found another couple verses the other day about Israel rising from the dead. Do you want everlasting life? You must be born again. Heard that before? Maybe in a different context. Jesus said it to Nicodemus, are you a teacher of Israel and you don't know these things? No, he didn't understand how you're born again. He didn't know what an Ezra man was. We lost it, and we've lost it today as well. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me, says Jehovah. Wow. There's a lot here if you have eyes to see. I hope that I've shown you some things and maybe challenged your thinking a little bit, to think a little bit more deeply. Next time, we're going to be talking about what it's going to take to sanctify Aaron and his sons. These are still Jehovah's instructions to Moses. We've still got to perform those instructions, and we will later on in chapters maybe 39 and 40. Well, we're going to stop here. Thank you for joining me, and hey, we'll catch you next time. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you so much being here. Bye now.